my sweat and my rust. I'm breathing in the chemicals. I'm breaking in, shaping up, then checking out on the prison bus. This is it, the apocalypse. Whoa.
And we are back with another edition of Disaster Survival Magazine's Weekly Radio. I am your host, Vincent Von Doom. Vincent Von Doom. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. They beat the Denver Broncos 48-3. Denver fans were so upset they were lighting joints in the streets on fire. In case you missed the game, it's okay, you didn't miss much. I fell asleep. But I did catch the MVP interview. That was pretty interesting. Did you see the 9/11 truther when he grabbed the microphone?
No, I always imagine myself making great plays, but you never think about being MVP.
Investigate 9/11. 9/11 was perpetrated by people within our own government.
All right. Is everybody all right?
Whoa, wakey, wakey. This is what happens when you have awake people walking around. They're very dangerous, and they're not under mind control or affected by psyops or the stuff we're putting in their food. Or sometimes they just go off their medication or forget to take it. And then stuff like this happens. They grab the mic and they can see through the conspiracies and they can see what's really going on. So beware of these type of people. Very dangerous. Before we get into the breaking news stories, I just want to say thank you to all the readers out there for helping to make Disaster Survival Magazine one of the highest grossing magazines on Magster.com. Issue number 3 is out. It's a really great issue. It's jam-packed with a lot of great articles, and we'll get into that a little later after the news. We'll give a full breakdown of the different articles and people we have in it. We're also working to get the magazine available on all platforms, Kindle, Zeno, and Next Issue, some of the other online newsstands. And we also have an online digital newspaper now, Disaster Daily, which is updated twice a day. And then we have Disaster Survival Weekly. Those are both online newspapers. We're going to be providing links to it from our website. Those are both free. You can subscribe to them. We also did our first live test broadcast of DSN breaking news alerts. We are going to be doing those for our YouTube channel. We're going to have reporters on the West Coast, East Coast, and all across the country. We just sent out a radiation detector to my co-host, James, and he's going to be doing live radiation readings from the beaches of California. So that's very exciting. The YouTube channel and the magazine, the newspaper, things are really going good for the Disaster Survival Network. And if you want to be a part of it, you can join us at disastersurvivalnetwork.com and just send us an email, survive@disastersurvivalnetwork.com, and just say that you want to be a member. Membership is free, and it definitely has its benefits. As usual, we have a lot of crazy shit going down. Justice Scalia just said that we're going to be opening up the FEMA camps, the World War II internment-style camps. I wonder what they're going to be used for or who they're going to be filling them with, because we are not in the middle of a world war. Or are we? Listen to this clip from V.
Justice Antonin Scalia says World War II-style internment camps could happen again. Justice Antonin Scalia predicts that the Supreme Court will eventually authorize another wartime abuse of civil rights, such as the internment camps for Japanese Americans during World War II. You are kidding yourself if you think the same thing will not happen again, Scalia told the University of Hawaii Law School while discussing Korematsu v. United States, the ruling in which the court gave its imprimatur to the internment camps. The local Associated Press report quotes Scalia as using a Latin phrase that means "in times of war, the laws fall silent," to explain why the court erred in that decision and will do so again. That's what was going on, the panic about the war and the invasion of the Pacific and whatnot, Scalia said. That's what happens. It was wrong, but I would not be surprised to see it happen again, in time of war. It's no justification, but it is the reality.
Okay, so stay tuned and watch out for the FEMA camps. There will be a bus or a train coming to a town near you. If you can't get to the hub, we'll have a FEMA representative pick you up. Transportation is not a problem. We'll make sure we get you there. We have reports of fake snow flooding the internet. Supposedly there's a massive chemtrail operation that's dumping fake snow that's supposedly doesn't melt. It smells like plastic, and the latest thing is that it's nanobots or Monsanto is trying to destroy the crops, and that's not my opinion, by the way, or the opinion of this network. This is just the rumors that are going on the internet, that they're trying to turn us into cyborgs with Morgellons, and this is a slow process that they're using depleted uranium. There's this lady, Michelle Hopkins, who's been pushing this on her YouTube site, and there's a scientific explanation for this. So don't get too freaked out, and don't follow the herd of sheeple who are really believing that this is some type of military project where they're trying to kill us or alter us. Snow has different melting properties than ice cubes. The butane smell is from the big lighter, and it's all perfectly normal, folks. There is a new major heroin epidemic in America. Actor Philip Seymour Hoffman was found dead with a needle in his arm and 65 bags of heroin. There is a new, very lethal heroin making the rounds, which is cut with fentanyl. And please, if you know anyone who has a problem with addiction, please get them the help that they need, and do not try to discourage them if they want to get on a methadone program or Suboxone. It could save their life. And as a member of the Disaster Survival Network, it's your responsibility to help people, not just in natural disasters or war, but also in drug addiction. If you have a friend or a family member that's suffering, you should try to get them the help that they need.
Hoffman's death comes 6 months after popular Canadian actor Corey Monteith died of a heroin-related overdose. U.S. authorities say use of the drug is now at epidemic proportions because of a massive spike in smuggling from Mexico. And as Ron Charles reports, addiction experts here in Canada warn there's good reason to be worried.
Connie Thompson has been clean for 15 years. The former heroin addict is now an addiction counselor, and what she has been seeing lately troubles her.
They're 17 and 18-year-olds that are getting onto this stuff because $10 you get a bundle. It's a 0.1, 0.2, and that'll get you going for a few hours.
Over the past few years, heroin has been taking center stage at news conferences following big police drug busts. Experts call that just one indication of heroin's resurgence.
The use of heroin was really going down, and the use of heroin was really dying out. And what we've seen with the really explosive increase in prescription opioid addiction, so pills like OxyContin, have really contributed to the resurgence of heroin as a problem drug in our society.
He says that's because some of those prescription drugs have become harder to obtain or too expensive for addicts. And so for many of them, heroin has become the readily available alternative that is also now cheaper and more potent than ever before. Dennis Long runs a Toronto addiction clinic and says the change in who uses heroin is worrying.
The thing that worries me as a service provider is when people move from one substance to another. So, for example, if you've been using OxyContin for quite some time, you know what the doses are, you know what you're doing, and then you move to using heroin or other stuff, you don't.
He says that lack of experience can be dangerous for addicts. Parts of the U.S. Eastern Seaboard have recently seen spikes in heroin overdose deaths, something Canadian addiction specialists are closely monitoring. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
Speaking of Toronto, Canada is now going to be installing crack pipes in vending machines. No joke, I guess the mayor, the crack-smoking mayor, must have had a role in that. Wow. I mean, at this point, why don't they just legalize everything and tax it? Excuse me, that's Vancouver. My mistake. Really, I mean, come on. I mean, can things get any crazier? Now, we also have the emergence of this new zombie flesh-eating drug, crocodile, which was mostly just in Russia, but now it's appearing in the United States. It's very easy to make, and the instructions can be found online, and it's a terrible drug because it's cheap and it rots people from the inside out.
It's a narcotic that's ravaged parts of provincial Russia. Named crocodile because of the scaly marks it leaves on the body where it's injected. The concoction is highly addictive and the ingredients are dirt cheap. Medina Kachanova now reports on the horrific effects of a deadly drug.
It's 2 years since drug addict Alexei lost his best friend, and every December he visits his grave.
Andrei was a great photographer. He was into advertising. He was involved in several projects. But that thing just killed him. He couldn't stop. It chased him to death.
That thing was desomorphin, an extremely addictive opioid which users inject. It's better known as crocodile because it gives addicts scaly, gangrenous skin. It's also described as the flesh-eating zombie drug. It causes severe brain damage. Users' skin eventually folds off. It kills addicts within 2 years. Alexei managed to escape the consequences of the drug, but his story is more of an exception than the rule. In reality, those who tried the so-called world's deadliest drug even once pay dearly for the cheap high, and all too often they end up here.
I remember my friend couldn't work because of the drug. He needed to inject again. It became an obsession. In the end, he was only working to afford the dose.
Crocodile is cheap, costing just a tenth of the price of regular heroin. And most worryingly, it's easily manufactured at home using over-the-counter chemicals.
One of the main factors why it spread was all the irresponsible decisions made back at the end of the 90s, where the health ministry eased the sales regulations of medicine, which contains codeine. Now no one needed any prescription to buy such medicine.
Alexei agreed to show us just how easy it is to get the vital ingredient, painkillers.
We're on our way to the drugstore. I don't have any prescription, but I believe I'll get everything I need there. It's not a problem.
It didn't take him long, just 5 minutes, and he was back. Alexei tells us that crocodile is made by combining codeine with ordinary household detergents or even gasoline.
People add so many different, really dangerous toxic ingredients. What they get in return is a very intense and very short high. The addiction is developed so fast, faster than heroin. This is a drug of poor, those who can't afford anything.
Russia's problem with crocodile peaked at the turn of the century. Since then, the availability of codeine has been heavily restricted in pharmacies. As one of the luckier addicts who survived after quitting crocodile, Alexei has a stark warning.
Don't do it. This thing just turns you into a monster. It eats you inside. It's so painful, it's so scary. You lose everything, your friends, your family, everything.
Medina Kachanova, RT, Moscow.
Yeah, so we got real-life zombies, we got bioweapons that they're developing, the new season of The Walking Dead is on, we got radiation from Fukushima starting to come over here, chemtrails, they're chemtrailing us constantly, putting stuff in the food, in the water. So yeah, if I were you, I would definitely start prepping if you haven't, and I would try to join a local survival group. And of course I would recommend that you join the Disaster Survival Network. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. We're on Facebook, Twitter. We have a CB, a nationwide walkie-talkie network that we use on Voxer. It's a really great program. You can walkie-talkie up to 500 people of your network, and me and my co-host use it a lot. It's kind of like Nextel, if you ever used the Nextel phone, but it's a nationwide network for your smartphone. So you can download that at Voxer.com, VOXER.com. And we do Google Hangouts. We have live Hangouts that we broadcast on Google, where we invite a bunch of guests and members of the network. Send me an email.